Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, are we ready? Rolling? Cool. Yeah, enough. Okay, thanks for coming. This is amazing. This is incredible. I'm so excited to be here because today you're going to hear a lot of stuff that you can use. Today we're going to make a difference. Today this is going to be the day that changes your life forever. Hello there, I'm Chris. I'm from England. I'm here enjoying the yellow thing in the sky that comes from time to time. Not enjoying too much because I'm a redhead, but it's an interesting thing to see from time to time. And you are awesome. You're already super lucky. You're in the place where everything happens. San Francisco is where everything starts in the internet. Everything else, not so much. This is where things are going on. This is where things get bought. This is where things are happening here. So tell me, show of hands, who here wants to learn something today about building rich apps that work across all platforms? Cool. Who wants to have amazing app performance without having to change your code? Huh? Who wants to concentrate on writing clean, scalable code using known software paradigms, like MVC and all these kind of things? Not so much, good. Who wants to pick from an amazing collection of beautiful widgets that your users will love? Great, you're at the right place. The future is here today. Welcome to RIACon 2005, where rich internet applications are built by you with software that I do. You got your goodie bag? In there you got like 5 CDs with 30-day trial versions of What You See Is What You Get editors to help you build the best apps on the planet. You actually get 3 fully functional server licenses for the macro hard server in case you want to do some video stuff. And there's a mouse mat in there for you as well. Isn't that amazing? You guys are going to make a difference today. Trust me, I know what developers need. I wear a suit. Isn't it good that these days are over? Who remembers this kind of crap? Who remembers these sales guys going up on stage and like, yeah, our software is doing everything for you. You don't need to know anything. HTML is hard. You need our developer tools. All these kind of things were over and over and over again. And it drives me nuts that these people still have jobs, first of all. And second of all, that we're repeating it. Because these days, sadly enough, to me, aren't over. Right now, we changed it. We took off the suit, we put on an ironic t-shirt and some jeans, and instead of selling you software on CDs, we put things on GitHub. And we call it like, ooh, so-and-so IO, this is the best thing ever, solves every problem, it will perform well on every piece of hardware, don't worry about what's in there, just use the thing. You don't have time to learn your code. You have to actually build your product and try to sell it. You don't have to learn anything anymore. And we're getting into this. We're getting more excited about writing solutions for problems that we came up with than really people using our solutions later on. Take a look at a lot of things being released on GitHub right now, and then take a look at how many issues have been filed and how many of them have been answered. There's a massive discrepancy between the two. Like, if you don't understand my code, you're not clever enough. Why are you even looking at my GitHub? This is not what we should be doing. I think the time where we use magic is over. So we're in an HTML5 conference here, and HTML5 used to be this really cool, shiny thing. We were just standing there like, now we make it everything better, everything else was broken. We were under the slavery of Internet Explorer 6 for our whole life, and now we don't have to care about it anymore. Now we make a difference. Now we change the whole world. And lately, somehow the HTML5 thing is going away. Nobody talks about HTML5, the technology stack, much anymore. Instead, we keep talking about how do we match native performance? How do we match what iOS has in native apps in JavaScript? How many scrollers do you know, like JavaScript scrollers for endless scrolling of lists that tell you it has the same performance as a native app? How many things out there show you like Facebook comes out in a native app with a certain effect on a button and then somebody does it in CSS? No, wait, they do it in Sass, or maybe in Less, or maybe in something else. But in the end, it will be CSS, and it will be only 600 lines of code to basically show the effect that a native app had. The comparison between the web and the app is a bit like Wally and Eva. Wally ran for 800 years without supervision and repairs itself, and Eva could be shut down remotely and has no spare parts. I'm tired of this conversation. You cannot match native performance, and you should not, because the performance of the web is a different performance than a native application. All a native application has to do is run perfect on the operating system it was written for and the device it's running on at the moment. Most apps get rewritten for a new iPhone coming out and rewritten and are really slow on the old iPhone. So if you want to match the web, make it work on one browser, on one computer, in one environment. Then you have a comparison that's fair. Otherwise, we're wasting our time with this. We're wasting our time trying to fight an environment that doesn't even allow us. Apple has not much interest in making HTML5 really work on the platform for the main reason that any application on iOS that is HTML5 could also be put into the Play Store. And stores compare each other with the number of apps and the apps that they have. So why would anybody whose business model is to have a closed app store share their apps with somebody else? This is the business problem that we have to solve with technology, and you cannot do that. It's a business problem. I wait for marketplaces to become uninteresting, and there's already signs for that. People are already getting bored of having to find things and get like fake reviews and getting asked to go to a marketplace just because they want to read a website. How many newspapers do you see right now that you go to and say like, we have an app by the way. Yeah, I don't care. I don't want to have this article. I'm just interested in this article right now. If the writing is good, then I might be interested. But the download our app is the new pop-up. And remember when we put pop-up blockers in browsers because they were annoying? App pop-ups are much more annoying. And these are the new things that we do right now. There's a wonderful German word called Totschlagargument, which means manslaughter argument. And it's an argument that stops all conversation. And whenever I talk to people about HTML5 and they say like, yeah, my native app performs better, that's a Totschlagargument. I congratulate them and say to them, well done, you've written something for a closed environment and it works well in that environment. Great. Much like an English book is much easier to read by an English reader than somebody who doesn't read English. So that argument is over for me. Because I see changes, I see it happening already that most apps are not closed in themselves. They're not just you use the app and you do something with it. Most of the apps that you use on your phone right now would be nothing without data coming from the web. Without a connection, without HTTP, without a REST API behind it, this app would be boring. And it fascinates me that most of the apps right now, I just gave a TED talk about this, technology used to be there to make our lives better. Now our lives are being used to make technology better. Most apps wouldn't have a business model if we wouldn't upload our photos, our social updates, our location updates, our life into them. And we still pay money to be allowed to give people our information. It's kind of bizarre that we go into this world, that we make our lives somebody else's sales pitch. And this is getting a backlash. People are realizing that by now, because it's not fun to reset your profile in every single app that you actually use. Why would I have my information there and there and there? I don't want to maintain it everywhere. I don't want to maintain logins everywhere. Most applications, no matter what technology, are about links, resources, and connections. Getting data from somewhere, consuming some data, and connect to somebody else who has this data, or you want to tell about the food that you just had that you took a picture of. This is what every app is about. And this is what the web was always rather good at. And applications not so much, because you cannot just link into an application. You always go to the front page. How many times do you get an email from LinkedIn with an interesting, well, sometimes you get an interesting contact with a LinkedIn email, and you click on it, and it goes to the front page of LinkedIn and shows me the news about LinkedIn and not that contact that I actually wanted to go to. I have to go through search again and click on my in-mail and then go through that one. Why do you send me that email? Stop sending me that email. You just expect me to use your application as the web anyways. And funnily enough, there's this app links thing going on right now. And that is reinventing the hyperlink, going deep diving into applications. I could make fun of this, but I actually like it. I like connected things. I don't care what technology it is, as long as you use the web in between and you allow anybody worldwide to consume that content, not saying like you need an iPad in this kind of resolution to see it, or this content is not available in your country. I'm totally up for that. And this shows me that the web has things that the app market doesn't have and native apps don't have yet. And they will converge over time, and I really, really like that. So unicorns exist. You can stop looking for them. Like that perfect technology solution that allows you to spread it out on every platform. It exists. Unicorns are out there. They're gray and fat, and we call them rhinos. And we have them for a long, long time. And the web is one of those. And we do the same thing to the web that we do to rhinos. They're fat, gray, and almost hunted to extinction. The web products look less shiny than the native products, because they try to be native products, rather than building a web product that does things that native can't do and looks beautiful. This is from HTTP Archive. 93 resource requests on 16 hosts and 1.7 meg total size with 46% cacheable is the average website out there. How many velocity conferences were there? How many talks have we given about performance? How many best practices did Yahoo and Google and other people throw out every month? How many build scripts have been created in the last month, making it very easy for you to not have 96 resources but 3? People are not using the things that we're doing. We're talking to a closed audience. We're making each other happy with these kind of things. If that's still the average website out there, then we've forgotten to care for the web. Then we've forgotten to talk to the people that just need to build stuff, rather than just be exciting and amazing and wonderful about it. So how come this is reality? How come 1.7 meg, and I dare you to do that on a bad connection on a SIM card where you have to 25 meg a day? 3 websites, I'm gone, I have to pay extra money. That's not right. I think we keep ourselves far too busy getting excited about writing little libraries. I mean, the amount of libraries, the amount of JavaScript little fixes that come with a logo fascinate me. I think people do the logo first and then they come up with a JavaScript solution or something like that. And think about it, we could put the two together. If you put the JavaScript inside the PNG, like at the end of it, and just crop the logo, you have one HTTP request and the browser even gzips it for you. So just release your libraries as logos so people can put them on their page as well. Sounds awesome. But we're too excited about this. A few years ago, people were too excited about being an entrepreneur. They didn't care about the product that they wanted to build. They just wanted to be an entrepreneur because the cool kids were. And nowadays, I got to have something in Bower. I got to have something in NPM. I got to have a GitHub page that looks awesome for the thing that I've just written. Instead of going to another solution that actually has one thing missing and putting that one thing in there and making it better. GitHub is for collaboration. It's a social network for developers, which in itself is kind of a bizarre thing, because we're not the most social people, but it works. So instead, the next time you think about, I can do better than that, go and fork the other thing and make it better, instead of doing another one that is there. Because people take our stuff and put them into their products, and then leave them there. They don't understand what it is. It just is the thing that makes things grow. It's the thing that makes the button with the round corners that I don't know about. And that's how you end up with 96 resources. People put things in because it's magic and wonderful fairy dust and we don't know what it is, but it does the job for us. That's why you find like websites that have jQuery, prototype, and MooTools in the same page, because they found one widget in each of them and really, really like that. Because we use third-party solutions to show off. We just start with a layout that we find somewhere and like, okay, instead of having to design our page, we just use that one that comes with out there. Like the bootstrap effect, like, oh, I've got a big picture and a big headline, and when you scroll 600 pixels, then maybe you get some content what my website might be about. And they all look the same. So that's a really interesting thing as well. Like, we're really creative and beautiful because we look like all the others. So people use our stuff, and that's good. We build stuff so people use stuff, but we should shift our focus from building things because we want to build them to building things for the people that use our things. So asking, getting pull requests in, answering issues, being there for people, Releasing something open source does not mean you make it available for free. It means you actually get a contract with the people using your stuff that you support them, or you find other people to support you. This is what open source means. There's the redundancy denied. Every single technology that comes out and says like, this is a polyfill, when browsers are good, we don't need this any longer. Yeah, browsers had the new technologies, still I see all the polyfills out there. There's still lots and lots of PNG fixes out there because Internet Explorer 6 didn't have alpha in the PNG and it created a GIF for you. Why these things are still there? Because nobody removes them any longer. People build them once and say like, okay, fair enough. So if you write a polyfill, if you write a helper library, the big if statement, testing if the native support is there, should be around everything else. Before you load your first dependencies, make sure the browser cannot do what your polyfill does. Otherwise, we keep putting more of these 96 resources in there that get loaded without ever being used, or only used by 0.2% of our users out there. So let's go back to basics. What was HTML5 supposed to do that the others didn't? That XHTML didn't do, that HTML401, that HTML32, HTML4 transitional, all these really cool things, XML. All these things you didn't do for us. Why did we come up with HTML5? Well, first of all, because the W3C said XHTML is ready and that's it. And that doesn't really work that way. What it meant to do was differently, was it moved the web from documents to applications. And a lot of the things that in XHTML were very clever didn't allow us to do the things we want to do in applications. The biggest problem with XHTML was it punished our users for encoding problems. So if you put an add in there that had an ampersand that wasn't encoded as add semicolon, this is what the user got. They got a yellow screen of death or red screen of death depending on the browser. So our problems punished our end users, which is a coding problem which shouldn't be the issue. That's why HTML5 is much more lenient. It tries to fix your errors. The JavaScript, the browser actually finds out there's an HTML error and closes the thing for you, which to me teaches us to be worse programmers to a degree, but at least it doesn't punish our end users. So this is XHTML. We didn't want to have to do that. How many websites do you know right now that when there's one JavaScript error, there's nothing on the screen? Lots. Lots and lots and lots. We reinvent XHTML in JavaScript right now, because we make everything, a dependency loader and using this and using that clever library. Think about what can go wrong and throttle your connections. Don't go on a fast connection. There's a good tool in OS X actually and other operating systems as well that give you a low connection, a latency connection, sometimes a flaky connection, and you will see just how amazing your site is. Because if something is just an empty screen, then we haven't innovated. We haven't made HTML5 more robust than XHTML was. XHTML wasn't app ready. It wasn't focused. Apps need to be focused. Full screen, touch interface, simple interfaces, do one thing well. In XHTML, we didn't have any way to get full screen, for example. Rich in interaction, touch interaction, enabled interaction elements. Working offline. Offline is super, super important. There's going to be a few talks here about offline. Service workers, the big thing about this. Make your thing work offline. This is what I can just say. I'm a constant traveler. I'm constantly on trains, planes, aeroplanes, these kind of things. But the thing doesn't work offline, I really don't want to have it anymore, because I'm not sitting at home in my box anymore just being connected the whole time. Something should remain on my machine. We have these great, great computers in our hands that actually could contain things offline, so why not do it? Integrated. Works with the OS and actually gives you all the things that the cool thing does. We wanted to get access to the camera. We wanted to get access to the accelerometer, to things that make it interesting to use a mobile, to actually surf the web on it. And responsive and fast. Everything needs to run smooth and can be killed without taking down the rest of the browser. So an app should not misbehave and basically make your whole browser stall. We have that. It's not HTML5, it's HTML5 and friends technologies, but all of this is available to you now. We just need to use it instead of hiding it behind another library, another library, another library. Look at the things that you can play with. Full screen APIs and manifest files give you a full screen Chrome-less app, very simply. Actually, we had Chrome-less apps in Internet Explorer 5.5, but back then it was more a security problem than anything else. But we have this now. You can make an app that looks like an app and works like an app. Rich in interactions, the input types, input type date, input type color, input type range, all these things are there. Don't use these sliders that work in Internet Explorer 6. Make it an input element in Internet Explorer 6 that people type a number in. Don't care. Any other browser gives you a slider, it works. And these are keyboard enabled, these are accessible, they work. Your own slider that you generated with all kind of clever technology, does it work with keyboard? Does it know that if I hit page up, it should go to the end of the slider, and I hit page down, it go to the beginning of it? Probably not. But the inbuilt things do these kind of things for us. Mobile, we got app cache, we got local storage, we got IndexedDB and WebSQL. There's a great library called Local Forage that actually gives you the interface of local storage and uses IndexedDB or WebSQL under the hood. So you got the benefits of the databases without having to learn about databases. Sounds like the stuff that I talked about earlier, but we're using that in Firefox OS for everything because it needed to be done on very low-end devices. Web APIs and open web apps allow you to access the camera, to access the address book, to access the accelerometer, all the things that are on the device right now. And responsive and fast, there's too many things to mention in that. There's a whole conference about this, and in the other room there's somebody talking about it right now. We have so much information about performance, it's actually getting kind of hard to find the right one, but there's people curating that for us as well. So we have all this, we play with all this. What is the result? I was one of the judges of the Static Showdown event here that basically showed like, how can you make a static, offline working page that is an app, that is a game, that is something like that. Show us the best cool thing you can do with HTML5 that only uses JavaScript, CSS, and HTML without any server-side component. And it's a hackathon, I understand that. The code is not high quality, but it wasn't a 24-hour one. People had like a few months' time to actually do something with it. And it were great results, beautiful apps, really cool stuff, but I found a worrying thing in all of them. And that was the quality of them. There were many broken links. There were many broken buttons. I went there, I clicked it, it didn't do anything. Now, as a normal end user, I'd be like, oh, I'm doing something wrong, and I call my son to give me tech support or something like that. As a tech guy, I opened my console and I found out, oh, it requires me to have Chrome. Oh, one of the dependencies hasn't loaded because the library was in the wrong folder, or the image was with the wrong MIME type. So people use very flaky interfaces and then wonder when it doesn't work. A link that says on-click something is not a link. Don't put that thing in there. Test if the JavaScript has loaded, test if it works, generate the button with JavaScript when you know that thing is going to work. Don't give false promises to your end users. When they click on it and they don't have anything, that's not the right thing to do. There's very simple ways of making things work. We just make them more complex right now because we're going to use every cool library and every cool framework in our apps. Shoddy error handling. Every AJAX request needs an error handler and needs a timeout handler. It's very simple to do. It's actually part of the XML HTTP request object. But I haven't seen any single one in there when my connection was bad that actually timed out. And this is fundamental to me. This is basic development, basic software development, basic defense against the things that I can predict, like a connection maybe flaking out. So why not put something in there that works? We can do so much better. We have this technology, we've got the knowledge, we can actually kick that Rhino and do something really amazing with it. We can make the web the cool thing from 2005 again. With the technology that we have right now, I'm amazed that we don't do much more with it. It's beautiful what you can do. We get much more control, and control is the main thing we want. If you don't know where something is going, if you don't know something is happening, it's dangerous. App cache was a bad solution because it was magic. It's like, oh, we cache it for you, maybe. Don't tell you about it. You got to find out yourself. Like, it does something for us and we have no control over it. What was cached? How much was cached? When does it expire? Can I just put something new in there? Or does it automatically flush everything out when I change something else? You had to change the manifest file to actually load something else. The file linking the manifest file was always cached no matter what you did. There was lots of things in there that didn't make any sense. And that's why we got Service Worker. There's a talk coming up by Alex Russell later. Service Worker is a proposal that came from Mozilla and Google. And both Mozilla and Google have it implemented now. And that one gives us full control over the app, over the offline experience of your app and the loading experience of your app. A lot of the stuff that Require.js does for us right now is actually built in the browser with Service Worker. And this is going to be immensely huge, because then you can actually control your experience. You know when something was offline, and you know when to get something new in there. Web components is, of course, the big thing. I was originally writing a web components talk, but then I realized everybody else does one, so it's a bit Web components basically means widgets in the browser. Not in a widget library that get rendered with JavaScript and then hope that they perform, but widgets that go directly in the browser and render with the browser when it paints the image. Think of a video element in the page. You put a video element in there, and all of a sudden you got a button and you got a volume control. These are not magical pixie dust things. This is HTML, JavaScript, and CSS. Under the hood, generated from the browser, by the browser for you. And with web components and Shadow DOM, you can do that yourself. You can create widgets and put them in the browser, and the browser does the rest for you. And that is amazing. It is also dangerous, because now we could use all the things that we've done in jQuery and in Dojo and all these things, all these massive slow widgets, and just put them into an HTML element and call it magic. Don't do that. Think about what web components can do. And that's a great example, and I'm going to show that now in the browser instead, because it makes more sense, and I don't have to look at that. So this is GIF. Sorted. Graphical interchange format. It's basically a GIF in the page, animated little images, kittens and things like that. This is what the source code looks like. XGIF, source, the imager link here, and that's all you put in there. And instead of just having a GIF display, you can now run it forward and backward, for example. Or you can change its speed. So you can actually say, like, this is twice the speed, or you go up to like 4.7 times the speed, or you go down to 0.1 times the speed, and you control the frames frame by frame in this case. Or you sync it to audio, which probably doesn't work right now, so I'm not going to click on that. And you got a stop and start, where you can actually click on it, and it basically stops it and starts it again. Under the hood, this is using a web component, and it's using Polymer, I think, in this case, as the library to make it work. So if you look at this and you inspect the element in your developer tools, this is Firefox here right now available for you, and you put that up there. You see what he does is he basically takes the GIF and takes all the frames out. With Canvas, you can, with File Reader, you can read the GIF, then you can actually analyze the file format of the GIF and take every frame out of it and make it into an image. And then you got the data frame 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 going on there, showing which frame is actually happening at the moment. So he took something that was closed and used JavaScript to take it apart and then put it together into something that is closed again. Which is kind of cool that we can do that. Like that you can have access directly to the binary format of an image is amazing. A colleague of mine at JSConf EU is going to show how to use MPEG-2 streaming in JavaScript. Like he made a DVD player in JavaScript by analyzing bit by bit everything what a DVD does. Probably illegal, but I don't know. But this is awesome. This is a really, really cool thing. The only problem I have with it is what happens if my browser doesn't know web components? I have an XGIF element in the page that does nothing. Thinking about users, thinking about people in the world out there, we should do something different. This should not be the case. We should not say like, oh, we got XGIF, which is so much better than the GIF, and yeah, it sucks to be you because you don't have the right browser. XGIF doesn't have a fallback. Like an element that the browser doesn't understand doesn't get rendered, and its child elements don't get rendered either. What is a GIF? It's a sequence of images in a timed format. You know what we call it as well? We call it a video. So the video element doesn't take a GIF as a source, but with web components, it can take a GIF as a source. So instead of just writing your own GIF replacement, why not override the video element to support for GIF? Because a video element, inside the video element, everything if it can't be rendered will be shown. So you put the original GIF in there, and the video element will not do anything, but the video element as a web component can play and have the same functionality as the XGIF before. So think about enhancing HTML with web components rather than replacing it. Because right now we're running into that danger that everybody writes their own components in 6 different libraries as well, and we're going to have like 600 select boxes to choose from soon, and we don't know which one is the good one and which one actually does something special. The is absolutely incredible in web components. I can take any HTML element and I can inherit all its properties and change the ones that I don't want to have and overwrite the ones or add to those that I want to put in there. And I've got event handlers to say like when the thing was rendered, when it was initiated, when it did something. So I have taken HTML and instead of complaining that browsers don't do something, I can overwrite HTML and still keep its original functionality. Its keyboard accessibility, its fallback technology, all the things that HTML does for us, instead of just saying like, oh, you need now Polymer to look at this website. Not right to me, because yes, Polymer might not load. JavaScript can break. Amazing, people do errors in JavaScript sometimes. So doing it right from the start, I think, is very important right now. As a very important step that we have with web components and also with Service Worker. And I'm very happy that at EdgeConf we were in a panel and we talked about accessibility and we talked about web components, and Adi Osmani and Alice Boxhall from Google who work on the Polymer project started this series of like accessible web components, explaining people, you think you know how to write a widget, but think about that use case, think about that user, think about what's going on. So make sure that we now have another revolution coming. HTML5 was a revolution, DHTML was a revolution, everything was a revolution. But now we have one that gives us full access into the browser, into the rendering of the browser with our widgets. And that gives us an edge that could compete with native, especially as the web has not the native problem that you can't link to each other. The web is made up from links already. So less snake oil. Less, oh, look, this library does everything for you. Like, don't worry about it. It's great. Just use that. And half a year later, you don't even maintain the thing anymore. What we need more is actually awesome plumbing. And the plumbing of the web is browsers. And browsers are open, are available to you, are available for feedback. Even Microsoft is totally good at answering questions by now. Like Chrome team is really good at answering questions. Firefox, of course, is really good at answering questions. If you lack technology in a browser, don't go to Twitter and say the web is broken because the browser doesn't do it. Go to the browser makers and complain about it. Find friends and complain together. We need your feedback. We cannot build something that people don't use. And polyfills and libraries stopped a lot of innovation of HTML5. The new input elements are still not rendered across different browsers continuously because people don't use them. People just use instead a jQuery UI or something like that because they never expected them to work. It's a vicious circle. If it doesn't work and you don't use it, it's never going to work because the browsers have no interest in fixing it because what people don't use isn't broken. So the web is always the bring your own solution technology. You want to use Polymer? Use Polymer. You want to use Famous? Please use Famous. It looks awesome. It's amazing. Really, really good stuff. You want to use .NET? You want to use Bower? You want to build everything with Sass instead of CSS? Do all that. But don't tell everybody else they have to do the same thing. Every product I worked on, every project I worked on needed a different stack of technologies. And this is what's cool about the web, because you're allowed to bring different technologies in. If you want to change something in iOS, good luck. Not going to happen. If you want to use CSS floats for layout or CSS position for layout, I'm not going to stop you. If it's better for your clients, great. But don't say one solution is one solution for everything, because then you look like the sales guys and we know all that was bullshit. So find the bricks that you like and build something amazing with it. Understand the bricks as well. Don't just put things in and build things and they're like, maybe it works, I don't know. But don't glue things together. Bricks are still bricks. If the thing is basically so conglomerated together that you cannot do anything with it anymore, then it's not a brick any longer and it doesn't help us any longer. A lot of outdated jQuery, a lot of outdated Dojo is still out on the web because people have been messing around with the tool itself, with the library itself, and changed it so much. A lot of hacked blogs out there is because people messed with their WordPress and made it impossible to upgrade the core of WordPress. So don't lock things in. Keep your bricks where they are and use them as you need them. I've had a 17 years career as a web developer, and my main thing about my career is that I'm agnostic to technologies. You show me a new technology, I get excited about it, I use it. I understand it, then I use it. I don't say this is the perfect solution for everything. We switch every 2 or 3 years, and that's the cool thing. Which other job allows you to do that? So it's super exciting times for us right now, and the bricks are out there, so play with them and make them better. Let's go exploring. Thank you.